This is Staff Sergeant Alvin Josephi Jr., a United States Marine Corps combat correspondent speaking from Iwo Jima. An attack is underway, and so far this morning, in a couple of hours, they have gone approximately 500 yards through the most difficult kind of terrain. This island is studded with pillboxes, and they have already passed through several lanes of them and have passed over the volcanic ash, the terrible yellow, craggy, rocky, lifeless soil of this part of the island. Whoops, some bullets are whistling past us. We are in the open. Japanese mortars and also small arm fire are occasionally dropping around us.
It cost many lives. It caused the destruction of all the nations around the world, and many people are striving to get back the way they are used to. Many nations around the world are striving. There are poverty and economic crises arising in each nations, and by that, United Nations was created to support and uplift each lives of those people, especially on those nations that were poor and developing nations. The United Nations was established at the end of the World War II with the primary purpose of promoting international peace and security. Its founding charter, signed on October 24, 1945, aimed to prevent future conflicts through diplomacy, cooperation among nations, and collective security measures. Additionally, the United Nations was tasked with fostering economic and social development, promoting human rights, and providing a platform for countries to address global issues and disputes through peaceful means. It was created to replace the failed League of Nations and has since become a central institution in international relations. In 1949, in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, the first international financial institution was established, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund (IMF) were established at the end of the World War II with the following purposes. The primary purpose of the World Bank is to provide financial and technical assistance for the reconstruction and development of war-torn countries and the broader economic development of developing nations. It aims to reduce poverty and promote sustainable economic growth by offering loans, credits, and expertise for projects in areas such as infrastructure, healthcare, education, and agriculture. Now, on the other hand, the International Monetary Fund was created to promote international monetary cooperation and exchange rate stability. Its main objective includes facilitating the balanced growth of international trade, ensuring stability in exchange rates, providing resources to member countries in need of financial assistance, and offering policy advice to promote economic stability and growth. There are two types of financial institution. Number one is private, and number two is intergovernmental. When we're talking about private financial institution, by the word itself private, it is not owned by a government stake. So these entities like banks and hedge funds that are owned entirely by shareholders. So these entities are still subject to government regulation and oversight, but they operate with different ambition in mind. They operate with their own mission and vision that they have created within their companies. Now, on the other hand, intergovernmental financial institution is owned by a government stake, and one of the example of it is the International Monetary Fund, which aims to promote global monetary cooperation, exchange stability, and balanced trade. And another example of it is World Bank. The World Bank provides loans and grants to developing countries for projects that aims to reduce poverty and improve the quality of life. The primary purpose of private financial institution is to generate profit for their shareholders by offering financial services and products, in contrast to what intergovernmental financial institution is, because intergovernmental is focusing on promoting global economic stability, development, and cooperation among member countries. They often provide financial assistance to countries in need and work to establish international monetary and financial system that benefit the global economy. The World Bank has its five organizations. First is the International Bank for Reconstruction, International Development Association, International Financial Corporation, Multilateral Investment Guarantee, and lastly, International Center for Settlement and Investment Dispute. So these different kinds of organization of World Bank has their own kinds of problems to be solved, and that World Bank has created its five organization so that those problems will be solved more efficiently. The International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, so its purpose is to provide loans and financial assistance to middle-income and credit-worthy low-income countries. It supports various development projects such as infrastructure development, education, healthcare, and environmental sustainability. So its key focus area was on infrastructure development, poverty reduction, economic growth, and institutional capacity building. The International Development Association offers concessional loans and grants to the world's poorest countries that may not have access to regular financial markets. It aims to reduce poverty by funding projects related to education, healthcare, clean water, and economic empowerment in these countries. Its key focus area was poverty alleviation, basic services, and economic empowerment in low-income countries. International Finance Corporation supports private sector development by providing financing and advisory services to businesses in emerging markets. It helped create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and promote sustainable practices. Its key focus area was the private sector, entrepreneurship, and sustainable investments. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency offers political risk insurance and credit enhancement to encourage foreign investment in developing countries. It helps protect investment against non-commercial risk and promotes economic stability. Its key focus areas was investment promotion, risk mitigation, and economic stability. The International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute facilitates for the arbitration and settlement of investment disputes between governments and foreign investors. It helped ensure a fair and neutral process for resolving such conflicts. Its key focus area was investment dispute resolution and legal frameworks for investment protection. In the 1960s, regional development banks were established, the Asian Development Bank and African Development Bank in 1964. These two intergovernmental financial institutions that were created to spur social progress and economic growth in order to address and reduce poverty. Both intergovernmental and private financial institutions help facilitate the functionality of a global economy by lending money to their member states and global corporations. And according to Stiglitz 1998, World Bank helps in project lending, establishes structural reforms, provides support, and helps design modern infrastructure, suitable and durable safety net. The global market integration. The global market integration is a result of establishment of economy that involve the homogenization of trade and commerce. The global market integration refers to the process by which economies and financial markets around the world become more interconnected and interdependent. This integration can occur in various aspects of economy, including trade, finance, and investment. Global market integration happened and continues to happen for several reasons, and it did not happen overnight. It is a process by which economies around the world become more interconnected. One of the reasons that global market integration happened across border is the technological advances in communication and information technology because it have made easier and faster to conduct business and financial transaction across border. The second is trade liberalization because many countries have adopted policies of trade and reducing tariffs and other trade barriers. This has led to an increase in the flow of goods and services across borders in the world. Global market integration has both benefits and challenges. Benefits includes access to larger markets, increased competition, and opportunity for economic growth. However, challenges can arise in terms of economic volatility, inequality, and regulatory issues. It's complex phenomenon with both positive and negative implications that continue to evolve as the world becomes more interconnected economically. Market integration in the Philippines has historical context that reflects the country's economic development and its engagement with global markets. Dahil nasakop tayo ng mga Spanish, which lasted for over 300 years until 1898, the Philippines was primarily an agrarian economy. It traded with other Spanish colonies and had limited connections with global economy. Dahil nga, nasakop tayo ng Spanish, ginawa nila tayong teritoryo upang iangkat ang kanilang mga produkto galing Spain papuntang Pilipinas. And with that, the Philippines became their second home where their products that was sent to us were also traded with different nations in Southeast Asia and other parts of Asia. And that it created a market integration, whereas time after time, it evolved, and that market integration does not only implies in Southeast Asia, but it creates an interconnectedness among different kinds of nations in all around the world. Now, also, according to Harvey, 1990, sees that cities and countries were able to extend their reach beyond borders and patterns of trade and technology because of development in shipping and navigation, especially in maritime transport. Because of the technology that has been more advanced, especially today, it creates an able to extend the reach beyond borders, and it creates a bigger kind of market integration that the whole world today is actually doing, and by that it creates a development in shipping and navigation, especially in maritime transport. The global market integration started when this big corporation rises at the end of the World War. International Telephone and Telegraph bought Avis and Rent-A-Car, Continental Banking, Sheraton Hotel, and Hartford Insurance. This is according to American History 2018. So the global market integration started when the big corporation in the USA rises, which I have said the telephone and telegraph bought Avis and Rent-A-Car, Continental Banking. So that is the starting point of global market integration. Later, Japan and Europe followed suit. Japanese global automobile corporations like Toyota, Nissan, and Isuzu took off after the giant American companies flourished. These companies prospered as a primary and global markers of trucks for Japanese military. According to E1 2012, it identifies the difference among international, multinational, transnational, and global companies. International companies are importers and exporters with no investment outside their home countries, and one of the examples of it are Apple, McDonald's, and Starbucks. This is according to study.com 2018. Multinational companies have investment in other countries but do not have coordinated product offering in each country. They are more focused on adapting their products and services to each individual local markets. So, sa binisaya pa, ang multinational countries have nano sila investments sa other countries but they did not offer product in each country. Tapos, they are more focused on adapting their products, services to each individual market. So, ang multinational companies nasa like companies from different kinds of countries, but they did not have a particularly product to sell, and they are focused on adapting their products to individual local markets so that their profit would much increase because they know what the people wants and what are the things that people needed. Transnational companies are more complex organizations that have investment in foreign operations, have a central corporate facility but give decision-making, research and development, and marketing powers to each individual markets. So ang transnational companies, they have a foreign operation but have a central corporate facility that give decision making, research and development para ang ilang company sa different nations mas efficient because they are marketing individuals in a foreign market. So mas complex and transnational compare sa other companies because it created research and development so that their companies would be efficient in providing products to certain people in the foreign market. Global companies have investment and are present in many countries. They typically market their products and services to each individual local markets. So, mao na siyang global companies. From the word itself, global, of course, they have investment and are present in many countries, and they typically market their products and services to each individual local markets. And one of the example of it are Nestle and Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and many more.
MNCs or multinational companies described to be particular corporate firm to dominate global production and exchange. The emergence of international, multinational, global, and transnational companies in US, European Union, and Japan as the major economies of the world. Ang multinational companies ay mayroong investment sa iba't ibang bansa pero walang koordinasyon ang kanilang produkto dahil nakatutok sila sa pag-angkop ng kanilang produkto at serbisyo sa individual na mga lokal na merkado. At ang multinational companies ay kilala sila bilang isang pangunahing pangdaigdigang aktor noong 1974. Ang multinational companies ay binigyan ng interpretasyon ni Carroll at ito ay international, multinational, global, and transnational companies in US, European Union, and Japan as the major economies of the world. Jerry Fee 2001 identifies three structural periods in the existence of global corporation after the war, and this is investment-based period in 1950 to 1970. 2. Trade-based period 1970 to 1995, and the last is digital globalization on 1995 onwards. Ang tatlong periodiko na yan ay ang binigay niya noong paglitaw ng mga korporasyong ito pagkatapos ng pangalawang pangdigma. Ang Conference on Trade and Development or UNCTAD defines foreign direct investments as funding made to acquire lasting interest in enterprise operating outside the economy of the investors in which their purpose is to gain an effective voice in the management enterprise. Ang mga pag-unlad ng mga pangdaigdigang korporasyon ay maaaring masusuri ng antas ng FDI. Ang United Nations Conference Trade Development o tinatawag na UNCTAD, ito ay binigyan ng halaga ng FDI na malaking epekto sa pag-unlad ng isang bansa. And defines FDIs as the major drivers of global corporate development. Ayon kay Headley, in 1960, the UN cited FDIs as the major drivers of global corporate development, and in 1990, FDIs tripled. During the trade-based period, corporations were controlled by product-driven commodities. As a result, firms were characterized by larger amount of concentrates capital focus on larger scale or capital-intensive manufacturing. Suportahan naman ito ni Gilpin with this around 20,000 new corporate alliances were formed in a span of 2 years. Digital globalization affected the operation of global corporations since technology became integrated in both production and consumption. CAM in 2006 observed designing, ordering, factor, processing, inventory, delivery, branding, and advertising digital operation. Sa makabagong panahon, apektado na ang digital globalization sa pangdaigdigan na korporasyon. Mula ng teknolohiya ay inaisama sa produksyon ng pagkonsumo. Producer-driven value streams have integrated their corporate structure to produce the time and distance in production and consumption of goods, while buyer-driven value stream have changed the behavior of corporation in retailing their goods and services via internet. Ang mga matatagumpay na kumpanya ginamit ang teknolohiya at sumunod sa agos ng mundo, kaya sila matagumpay sa pagpapalaki ng kanilang kita. The global corporation have common attributes identifies three of them as: number 1, an agent of desired development; number 2, an economic prominence; number 3, very powerful entity that can create. Ang mga korporasyon na ito ay maabot ang kanilang target sa pagpapaunlad ng ekonomiya ng isang halimbawa dito ay Nestle. Ang ilang transnational, multinational corporation ay nakarating lamang sa ilang pandaigdigang target at nakabuo ng krisis sa ibang bansa. Asian Financial Crisis 1997 Global corporation brought chaos to the economy of Asian region in controlling foreign direct investment. Ang mga pangdaigdigang ito ay nagdala ng kaguluhan sa ekonomiya sa region ng Asia. Sa pamamagitan ng pagkontrol ng FDI nagresulta ito sa pagtaas ng halaga ng real estate at marami pang nangyari na pagpalubog sa ibang bansa.